Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I thought I'd talk about my favourite guitar, my Fender American Vintage 65 Strat. Let's talk about this guitar a little bit then. So this is my favourite guitar. My very first guitar was a Squire Strat in, I think it was Dakota Red, way back in the mid-90s. I've had quite a few Strats over the years, some that I really regret selling, but this one I've really fallen in love with and I've had it for a good 10 years now. So what is it? It's a 2013 American Vintage 65 reissue, and you'd be forgiven for looking at it and thinking maybe it was a custom shop, or maybe I'm being a bit too kind to my my relicking skills. But this guitar started out as a brand new guitar. It was completely pristine. Over the years, it took a few little nicks and dings, and don't worry, I'm not trying to claim that it's aged like this in the time. And you know, I really like vintage guitars. I really like the way they look, the way they, well, I would say the way they feel. I've never actually played a vintage guitar, but I really like the way they look. I really like the way the custom shop relic guitars look, and you know, I just figured at some point I would make this my own a little bit and make some changes. Let's talk about the specs a little bit before I get into what I've done to this, which I'm sure some people will be horrified by and some people will love, maybe. Fight me in the comments about relic guitars again. Spec wise, it's an older body. It's got American Vintage 65 pickups. It's got a round lamb rosewood fretboard on a maple neck. In case you're not sure what I mean by that, the original Strats were a maple fretboard completely, so it was a one-piece bit of wood. But in the late 50s, they did swap that to rosewood, and originally they would have a flat piece of rosewood on a flat piece of maple, and then they will carve the radius into the rosewood. I'll try and show it in some pictures, but on this guitar, the rosewood is radiused to the maple, so it's curved like this, and the maple is also curved like that, and then the rosewood is glued onto the maple. There's also no skunk stripe because of that, because the truss rod is inserted before the rosewood laminated board is put on it. 1.25-inch radius, and I know a lot of people don't love that, but it is historically correct, and I actually quite like that radius. I've never really had any major problems. This guitar did develop some kind of choking out problems over time, but that was really due to fret wear. I played this a lot and I've had it for 10 years, so it recently had a setup and a fret level over at Guitar Village in Farnham, and they did a really great job, and you know, there's no playing issues with it now. Some of the differences from the early 60s guitars is that this has pearl inlays on the fretboard, whereas the older ones have clay dots. It also has that same pearl inlays on the side markers as well. So it's got a transition logo rather than the spaghetti logo. When they released this model, the marketing was all about how they'd sourced loads of different examples of 65 Strats and, you know, the other guitars that were in the range at the time, to really, you know, pull them apart and do loads of measurements and make sure that they got all the specs like really spot on. Supposedly at the time it's as historically correct as can be. They did discontinue this range a couple of years later and reintroduced it as the American Original range. With that range though, they didn't target year specific models like they did with this, and they just kind of made a general 60s guitar or a 50s guitar, and I think they changed some things about the finish and what have you. This is actually a nitrocellulose finish, and you'll see from some of the work I've done on it why that's advantageous if you're trying to make it look like an old guitar. Plus I just really like nitro finish, right? You know, the poly finish on modern guitars, so thick, so plasticky. This is a bit closer, albeit they, you know, I'm pretty sure they don't do it exactly the same as they did it in the 50s and 60s. It's a C-shaped neck, so it's not super thick and it's not super thin. I really like it. It's really comfortable to play. It's just a great guitar, really. I love it. I've made quite a few changes to it, mostly cosmetic. Obviously it's had a relic job. Now that's gonna really trigger some people, or some people will really love it. I really like relic guitars. I don't know if I've done a great job. I think it's okay. I'll try and show you some close-up shots. Some of the things I did, so obviously I've, you know, taken some of the finish off, made it look similar to your kind of custom shop guitars. It's got loads of little dings and dents and knocks and what have you that you can't really see on camera. It's got loads of lacquer checking. I achieved that by heating up the finish with a heat gun and then spraying it with compressed air. I also took all the finish off the back of the neck. It doesn't look as extreme as some of the custom shop guitars, but you can definitely see it's darker. And then on those bits of exposed wood, I've used the Monty's relic wax to darken it up and kind of seal it and what have you. And I think, you know, that stuff works really well. It's kind of aged the wood without it looking like the greasy kind of black dark mess that some of the custom shops look sometimes. Very recently I changed the pick guard for a mint green one. It's an aged mint green one from Charles Guitar. Same as the other plastics. So the pickup covers, the volume and tone knobs, and the selector switch have all been changed. Didn't bother with the rear because I always leave it off anyway. All the hardware's all original. The pickups are original, American 65 reissue pickups. Yeah, look, I just love this guitar. So I'll do some playing. I'm going to do some loops and what have you, and give you some sounds, but you'll have heard it in some of my other videos if you watch any of my other videos, and you'll be sure to see loads more videos with this guitar in it in the future. Yeah, I think that covers it. I hope you like the guitar as well. I hope you like it as much as I like it. And check out the demos. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check back soon for another video.